Thanks for tuning in to IFW Radio, a sound idea for the world of freight and logistics. I'm Kizzy Nkwocha, and with the help of our man on the mic, the much talented and incredibly dapper looking Dave Badger. He's wearing this wonderful suit today, and I was going to say to him, Dave, people can't see you on the radio, but you know what? I appreciate the effort. Anyway, with Dave's help, we're going to be bringing you some of the headlines that have captivated the world of freight over the past 7 days. But before that, I've just got time to let you know that IFW's LinkedIn group is verging on the threshold of becoming the fastest growing LinkedIn group since the dawn of the internet. Okay, maybe not since the dawn of the internet, but at least one of the fastest growing groups over the past couple of months. No, really, in less than 4 months, our LinkedIn group has grown to a staggering 900 members and counting. Now, these are all movers and shakers, thought leaders, pillars of the freight community, and thoroughly decent people to boot, just like you. Now, if you're wondering what all the fuss is about, and you're not a member of our LinkedIn group, wander on down to www.ifw-net.com and click the LinkedIn button. Join us. Resistance is most illogical. I think I just had a Star Trek moment there. How strange. Anyway, enough of that. Here's Dave Badger with the news.
And thank you, Kizzy. Well, the week began with the surprising news that Italy's Grimaldi Lines had pulled out of the brand new Motorway of the Sea Ro-Ro service it had launched between France and Spain in partnership with the French LD Lines. Their joint venture, GLD Atlantique, began on the 8th of September, with LD's Norman Bridge plying 3 weekly round trips. While the French operator has pledged to run the service on its own, Grimaldi's volte-face represents an embarrassing development given the hype which the heavily state-subsidised MOS programme has attracted. The lobby organisation that represents almost all of the world's biggest shipping lines has fiercely objected to calls for an end to the exemption from US antitrust laws that the liner industry enjoys. Their exemption allows the lines to jointly negotiate and agree freight rates and surcharges on major trade lanes. More than 30 groups representing shippers, forwarders and 3PLs have pledged their support for a change in the law, saying this extraordinary privilege may have made sense 100 years ago, but in today's fully integrated global marketplace, competition rather than joint carrier discussions should be the determining factor which governs the price for moving freight. Opposing the proposed legislation are the 29 members of the World Shipping Council that represents approximately 90% of the global liner vessel capacity and carry about 130 million TEU a year. The bill was introduced to the House of Representatives on Thursday, but it may not get the chance to become law this year due to the forthcoming US midterm elections. Now, when Stena Line's North Sea director Pim Delange described potential British seafarers as fat and covered in tattoos, his comments sparked a new battle in the long war between the UK's RMT union and the UK ship operators over crew rates of pay. The RMT has long campaigned for parity between crew of all nationalities on the UK minimum wage of £5.80 per hour. Ship operators, however, claim that employees from foreign countries, and particularly those from outside the EU, are not governed by UK employment law. Stena is reported to be employing Filipino workers at a rate of £2.20 per hour on its Stena Britannica, which sails from Harwich to the Hook of Holland. But it is not the only ferry company to favour a Filipino crew in order to save money. French workers staged their second one-day general strike this week as they continue to protest against government plans to increase the statutory retirement age from 60 to 62. The unions have warned that in the event of the French government maintaining what they call an intransigent line, the protest could be extended for an indefinite period. Martinair's Senior Vice President of Cargo Sales and Marketing, Maria Ullings, is the latest executive in the air cargo industry to face a jail sentence for price fixing. The US District Court in Atlanta has charged Ullings with conspiring to suppress and eliminate competition by fixing and coordinating surcharges charged to customers for international air shipments to and from the United States between January 2001 and February 2006. If convicted, Ullings faces a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison and a $1 million fine. A total of 17 airlines and 8 executives, some of whom are already in prison, have been charged in the US Justice Department's ongoing investigation into price fixing in the air cargo industry. Gulf Tainer, the UAE-based ports and logistics group, has formed a joint venture with Prominvest, the financial and investment arm of state-owned Russian Technologies, to invest in the country. It will have a $500 million war chest to acquire port and logistics assets in Russia and the surrounding region. Some targets are reported to have already been identified. In Greece, truckers again blocked major roads around Athens in their latest protest against changes to allow new public duty operator licences to be issued for the first time in 40 years. The new licences would be provided at a fraction of company start-up costs, significantly reducing haulage prices. However, the change the truckers were protesting about actually became law on the same day as they took action, and they are now having to sit and decide their next move in the campaign. The new law is seen as an attempt by the Greek government to prevent the country from falling into further recession, but hauliers complain that it is unfair to the existing operators who paid far more for their operating licences. A petition with 920,000 signatures from people in 185 countries calling for real action to end Somali piracy was on Thursday presented to the International Maritime Organisation in London and to governments which have a strong merchant navy or where piracy attacks are rife. The End Now Piracy petition, presented on the UN-designated World Maritime Day, was drawn up by a coalition of 14 seafarers' unions, trade organisations, insurance companies and other relevant bodies. Launched 4 months ago, the petition is the centrepiece of a campaign to persuade all governments to commit the resources necessary to end the increasing problem of Somalia-based piracy. Somewhat contrary to stories in the summer of fears of ocean overcapacity as laid-up vessels and new builds ordered before the recession come on stream, new analysis by Macquarie Equities Research seems to show that there could be a shortage of container ships by 2012, as the new building order book approaches 10-year lows. Macquarie's Vital Signs shipping report shows that the current box ship order book would produce a 10% increase in the global fleet size next year, falling to 6% in 2012. The authors said, based on our view that volumes will achieve minimum growth of 8% a year, we are potentially facing a shortage of capacity in 2012. Meanwhile, things are looking up for the global air freight industry, however, which could be looking forward to a rosier future. IATA's latest report points to a higher than expected pace of growth in both volumes and yields. The International Air Transport Association has revised its 2010 overall air transport outlook, projecting industry profits of $8.9 billion, up from the $2.5 billion forecast in June, although it does believe that profitability will drop to $5.3 billion in 2011. Its Director General and CEO said the industry recovery had been stronger and faster than anyone predicted. The $8.9 billion profit we are projecting will start to recoup the nearly $50 billion lost over the previous decade, he added. All these stories and more can be observed, read and thoroughly digested on the IFW website at ifw-net.com. And please feel free to add any comments you wish to make about any of these stories to our editor, whose address is on the site. And now it's back to you, Kizzy.
Thanks, Dave. And that was the IFW News headlines delivered with impeccable style and professionalism by our very own David Badger, which leaves me just to say thanks for tuning in and have a great week. See you soon.